We don't want the severe, but we could use the rain here in the mid-Atlantic. Thanks to our virtual view technology, I'm actually standing at the Inner Harbor in Baltimore, where we're starting the day with a bit of sunshine. You need the sunglasses as you make your way to work this morning. But much later on today, these cumulus clouds will begin towering in the sky. They'll become darker and darker. Showers and thunderstorms more likely as we head toward the afternoon and evening time frame. Thunder, lightning. We need the rain, more than 3.5 inches below average for the year so far. And we're not the only ones who need the rain. DC is also down about 3 to 4 inches. So as mentioned, we don't need the tornadoes or the high winds, but that is definitely in our forecast. So be prepared for it. With a Torcon 3, it's not a high number on our threat scale, but it means we could see a tornado watch being issued. Severe winds become more likely as we'll follow that line of storms toward the 95 corridor and around the Beltway here in DC. So as you can see, most of your day is looking pretty good, actually. It's not going to be until much later this evening, just as you're getting ready to go home from work here between DC and Baltimore. Those storms rapidly move away and you think you're done, but then you could hear thunderstorms in the middle of the night. And these all could also pack some very strong winds, thunder, lightning around Baltimore as we head towards 3 o'clock in the morning. So that's a rude awakening right there. All right, Philadelphia, we're going to start your clock later this afternoon because, again, we're talking about showers and storms that will likely not fill in for the region until much later on towards tonight. Even after the sun goes down, there will be some active weather to consider here as we go back to the maps here and check on the city of brotherly love. We're tracking those storms moving through later on tonight, and some of them actually lasting even into tomorrow morning. So we do have the moisture showing up on our vapor imagery, that green blob right there. And by the way, there have been reports of water rescues in Bollinger County there in southern Illinois. So just something to watch out for as well. All right, back to Philadelphia. See those storms 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. There's your Tuesday morning commute. Still a little wet out there. And then we make our way to the other side of PA here in Pittsburgh, where you had a rain out with your Pirates on Saturday. You got 2 games in yesterday. I hope you enjoyed that break because the showers and storms do return here to Washington County as we head toward the afternoon today and even toward the evening time frame. These storms could also be on the stronger side. All right, Reynolds, I think we're all kind of sick of the heat and the humidity at this point.
A lot of us are not going to get through the day before the storms move in, and that could be a part of the problem. Take a look at what we've got going on here. So we're looking at mid-upper levels of the atmosphere. You can see our little bowling ball. It's going to continue swinging through. That's our system of low pressure. That's looking at it on the water vapor imagery. Now let's look at it on the satellite and radar. Can you see it? The center of circulation here. You've got that counterclockwise circulation. That's our characteristic of that low pressure system. All of this is going to fill in eastward. So up and down Lake Michigan there, starting from the west side, eventually moving to the east side. And I do think we're going to have some problems, some flooding problems for cities like Chicago, like Milwaukee, up through Sheboygan as well. Flood watches up for that 41 corridor, 43 as well, down through 94. You're going to have some ponding on the roadways. You're going to be slowing down, and you're definitely going to have some localized flooding for those places that typically flood. Watch our swath of rain fill in west to eastward across Lake Michigan, eventually across Michigan as well. Detroit, you're going to get in on some of this. So Green Bay down through Milwaukee, Chicago, this is lunchtime. This is not the lunch day that you want to plan on going out to get lunch. Maybe pack your lunch and bring it along with you so you don't have to go get it. Watch how this all fills in eastward Detroit. You're starting to see a better chance for that rain as you're getting off of work today. Heavy rain at times, a few little feisty storms too. But here's what I'm worried about. Here's overnight tonight into Tuesday morning, and there's still rain around Chicago. So especially our big metro areas, our big cities like Chicago, when you see rain for hours, you start to see that possibility for some flash flooding. We have that highlighted here, flash flooding risks, cities like Green Bay included in that, but Cleveland down through Charleston, up through Philly, we've got that risk for some flash flooding as well. Here's our system. It eventually sweeps through Kelly and brings us some nice cooler air, but before we do that, it's going to bring us some storms.
Well, there in the Northeast, we don't have back to school until after Labor Day, but for several more districts, especially in the South, the Midwest, kids are going back to school. It is time for your forecast. Parents, kids up extra early this morning here in Dallas, where it's the first day of school, getting out the cameras, taking the pictures at the bus stop. It's just going to be a hot one, especially when they get off the bus. Make sure you pack the water bottles in their lunchbox as you prepare their lunches. All right, for Little Rock, same deal. It's going to be warm, humid, not as hot as Dallas, but still, you've got 82 for the bus stop this morning. falling and rising into the 90s as they step off the bus in the afternoon. And for Jacksonville, Florida, kids are heading back here as well. 82 to start us off, and then there could be some thunderstorms. Might need to meet the kids within.
Like, it's raining. I wish that umbrella that was in my car was in the office with me right now. Maybe just have two. Leave one in the office and one in your car, and you won't have to worry about it. Here's what we're watching on the water vapor imagery. Of course, you can see our huge plume of moisture that we've been watching moving across the Mississippi River Valley, filling in across the Ohio River Valley. But this is what I want you to see. Our center of low pressure that's swirling here, moving into Iowa, southern Minnesota. All of that is going to, as a system, push eastward and bring us this messy weather that we're seeing currently across the upper Mississippi River Valley into the Great Lakes region. Pretty much, I'd say just about all of Wisconsin is seeing some rain right now. It's going to continue to fill in. Milwaukee, that's headed your way. Chicago, quiet currently, but that is going to change. This rain fills in, and not only does it fill in, but it comes and it hangs out for a while. It's not in any hurry to leave very quickly. So you've got a flood watch from Sheboygan down through Milwaukee, Chicago as well, out through Madison. A flood watch might not seem like a big thing, but when you have your urban areas like Chicago, that can become flooded roads really quickly. That's going to mess with your day. That's going to mess with your commute. It's going to slow everything down. So future radar shows how that all fills in up and down the west coast of Lake Michigan and then eventually forms its way across into Detroit and Grand Rapids. Detroit, pretty quiet for most of the day, and then you're getting off of work later today and you've got that rain and storm action that's hanging around into the overnight and early Tuesday as well. So rounds of rain and an absolutely moisture-laden atmosphere are going to lead us to the possibility for some flash flooding, not to mention the fact that some of these areas are a bit wet, especially as you look back towards, say, Milwaukee and Chicago. Knoxville up through NYC, Philly, DC, all with that risk for some flash flooding today. Severe ingredients hanging around tomorrow as well as this front moves through. That cold front's going to swing through, interact with that energy, and bring us another chance for storms. Kelly?
It's going to keep us busy here at the Weather Channel. Felicia, let's take a look at the T-Mobile coast-to-coast forecast and give you a peek at the temperatures in your area as you plan your travel for the week ahead. A lot of kids heading back to school, including Little Rock, Dallas, also over towards Jacksonville, Florida. What do you all have in common? The heat, the humidity. That's certainly with us throughout the day. You can see the showers and thunderstorms from the Great Lakes down through the southeast and pushing east into places like New York City, Philadelphia as well, where we actually do need the rain in Baltimore and D.C., but unfortunately some of these storms are going to be strong. Down to Florida, still looking at stormy times as we head towards Wednesday. Thursday, showers along the Outer Banks of North Carolina. Cooler weather, though, coming in behind this next front. In fact, we get a little bit of a break from the humidity. Even in a place like Atlanta, Birmingham, temperatures are still warm, but at least the humidity goes down.
Don't touch the metal in the car. It's going to burn your fingers when you're talking about that type of heat. Here's where we're looking at that possibility for records. We've got a couple different bullseyes of high pressure in control of our weather. The one hanging out across the northeast going to bring us that risk for excessive heat warnings. That brings us the risk for those heat-related illnesses. So we're talking about heat stroke, heat exhaustion. So make sure you know some of the signs of that. Slow down when you're feeling just out of breath and overwhelmed. Make sure you're staying hydrated, wearing loose, light-fitting clothing. When you're talking about breaking records in places like Eugene, the old record 101 degrees, the new record that we're forecasting possible 108. We're not just breaking records. We're talking about temperatures that are just soaring past the old records. I mentioned a couple different areas that we're watching for the heat. Also, another center of high pressure, just a ridge baking underneath that across the southern tier as well. You can see those excessive heat warnings up for cities like New Orleans, Montgomery, Jackson, Atlanta included in that as well. New Orleans, you had 4 straight consecutive days getting into the triple digits. Today, your forecast is not for triple digits for your actual temperature, but factor in the humidity with those dew points in the 70s across this region, and it's going to feel like 112 in New Orleans at the peak of the afternoon. Corpus Christi feeling like 115. Atlanta filling into the triple digits as well. Now tomorrow, behind that frontal boundary, some places are going to get a nice little bit of a cool down. It's going to feel like 81 degrees in Nashville tomorrow. So you just got to get through the storms and the hot today. Meanwhile, places like Jacksonville down through Tampa filling well into the triple digits as we head into Tuesday. So a couple more days of us just baking. As mentioned, New Orleans, we've had several 100-degree days so far this year. We are above average in terms of the summer heat there in the Big Easy. Kelly.
Well, Felicia, after seeing 4 named storms so far this year in the Atlantic Basin, we're in a bit of a lull for now, but we are ramping up in terms of climatology and frequency of storms. So typically we peak about the second week of September, and it can be busy all the way through the end of the season, which goes till November. So we've got 86% of this year's hurricane season left to get through. And just when we thought we were enjoying some quiet times, we do have a couple of areas to watch in the central and eastern Atlantic Basin. A lot of action over on the eastern Pacific side too, where we've got a tropical storm and now a Hurricane Fernanda and an area to watch just off the coast of Central America. We begin though in the Atlantic Basin, where we do have a 20% chance of this area of disturbed weather to develop, not where it is right now, but moving westward in this area over the next 7 days. For now, it has to get away from some of that Saharan dust. Certainly that's been kind of keeping things stabilized for now. It really kind of prohibits those storms from developing. This one though, they just upped the Hurricane Center, giving this now a 30% chance of developing closer to the coast of Africa, affecting the Cabo Verde Islands, perhaps with some showers and storms in the next couple of days in the near term. And then after that, we're going to have to continue to track it as it moves across the middle of the Atlantic Basin. So let's take a look at the model, see what they want to do with these systems. We look for an area of spin according to the European model, and you'll notice that they are trying as they move off the coast of Africa. Looks like something right there tries to form west of Cabo Verde Islands. The American model, similar solution, giving some heavier rain though to Cabo Verde, and you can see we're looking for that spin to occur right there as it gets west or north of that area. But for now, we've got some time to watch it, certainly in the next several days. Now we take it over to Hawaii, where we're going to have another system move south of us, this time a weaker system, but also the high pressure to the north of Hawaii is not going to be as strong. So we're not expecting the kind of winds that we saw last week that gave us the horrific fires. But we're going to track this system, Greg, with winds of about 50 miles an hour, and then weakening as it continues on its westward track south of Hawaii. And then behind that, we've got Hurricane Fernanda, packing winds of 125 miles an hour. It is a Cat 3, Reynolds, but thank goodness it's in the middle of nowhere for now.